Hey, what's going on? So the small tiger block, right? The juice out. There's several ways to do it, but I wanted to talk about. Here, let me adjust this a little bit. I want to talk about one of the most basic things about the small tiger block that a lot of people overlook. If you look at um, my target area, it's about this wide. When I turn sideways, my target area gets smaller, right? So, a fighting stance uh, ideally should be as small as you can get it while having access to both limbs. So, what that means is, shit, let me turn this a little bit. There we go. So, what that means is it's smallest sideways. You notice that pretty much my body, everything is covered. I just have to deal with my face, right? When I stand this way, but the problem is standing this way, I don't have quick access to this hand, which means for me to turn and throw a punch takes longer. Um, so generally, you would hold your fighting stance. I mean, you could hold it any way you want. You could switch it up, go straight forward, turn it to the side, things like that. The more I'm turned forward, the more I'm exposed, which means it'll be harder for me to keep everything covered. You can't hold a fighting stance that's going to cover everything. Excuse me. Problem with turning sideways because, and the matter of fact, in boxing they call it a Philly shell. The thing about standing sideways is that you have more things covered up, but you don't have quick access to all of your limbs. If you want to throw in your legs, then many fighting stances like this just kind of eliminates half of it, half of everything you want to do, right? So pretty much a 45-degree angle is what you want. Now, the thing about the small tiger block, if I were standing completely sideways, horse stance, which by the way, my Sifu, Dean Chin, one of his favorite fighting stances was the side horse stance. Okay, I don't I wouldn't recommend that for beginners, even though I would recommend fighting out of it so that you learn the stance and what benefits come from it. But it does eliminate, like I said, the back half, your back hand, your back leg, um, and it robs you of being able to generate power using the hip and the shoulders if you're already forward with the front hand. Okay, so but anyway, that being said, uh, in the horse stance, which is how most Jiaoga forms practice this small tiger block, your body is closed off, and the wisdom in that is that you only have to worry about the face, which is why in this position there's not a whole lot of blocking the body, right? Only when the body is blocking this way do you turn, because this is when I need to block the body. When I'm here, I really only need to block my leg and block my face. Okay, that being said, the path of the small tiger block. There's different types of small tiger blocks. But the one thing I want to make sure is that my hand covers the whole body, right? I don't want to block like this. And notice if a guy was punching at me, because we're standing this way towards each other. The hands are not in the middle, they're to the side. So his left hand is over here, his right hand is over here. If he was punching me in the dead of my chest or my face with his right hand, that punch is actually coming at this angle. This block will only block his left hand. It won't block that hand. So the Jusao should cover everything this way, right? Now, one of the things about blocking is it is hard to determine whether a punch is going to your nose, to your mouth, or to your neck, to your chest. You know what I'm saying? So a block that covers a bigger area, timing and timing and speed are not as important because you cover everything. So an ideal horse stance, I'm sorry, horse stance. Ideal small tiger block should kind of start at the navel and then come up this way. So if I'm in my fighting stance and I use this use this block, notice it covers all the way going forward. So I'm going to try to go over I'm not going to explain in a lot of detail, but the basic small tiger block, just like when you're sitting in a horse stance, right? It goes across your belly, comes up and around and stops at the shoulder. Across the belly, up and around and stops at the shoulder. That's the basic horse stance small tiger block. In a fighting stance, you may only need to go maybe from the solar plexus and then up, and then it's a lower technique, you go this way. But that's only partly true. Because if a punch is coming towards my face, I can do a downward small tiger block. Punch is coming to my stomach, I can do an upward small tiger block. When would I do that? I use the middle small tiger block when I want to counter low. I use the downward small tiger block when I want to counter high. So what that means, even if he's punching me in the nose, I can bring that hand down and then let him have it. If I bring my hand up, let's say he punches me with his right hand, I block, his right arm is now covering his face, which makes that difficult, right? So that's where this technique comes in, where I block the face and this punch goes right up under his arm, aims for the ribs. Okay, we don't have this in our forms, but you could interpret this at any point the punch can come out, right? Okay, so you can insert that fist anywhere you want it. You don't have to do it in exact order. So this technique should cover everything. Stomach to the nose. And this technique should cover everything from the nose to the stomach, going the opposite way. Can I do this? Yes, I can. Guy throws a hook and I block from the fighting stance to there. Okay, if he's using his left hand. If using his right hand, and the thing is, in fighting, you really don't have time to differentiate between right hand, left hand most of the time in straight techniques. Circular techniques, yeah, I mean, you have time. Straight techniques, you usually don't. That's why it's kind of better to have the full circle techniques. However, if he were throwing a circular technique, I would still use the Jiu-Sao. You know what I'm saying? The straight one, right? Going from the center line out. And that's the one that you were throwing most of the time. But then there are different ones. So now, standing to the side, I have one that starts back, going forward, right? I have another one that scoops low and throws to the side, scoops low, throws it forward, right? So he throws the punch, and in one, his hand gets thrown to the side. Another one, his hand gets thrown back, okay? Then there's straight across, which is just pretty much like almost like a knife hand chopping block, right? Just like that, same thing. So from the fighting stance, the hand comes down, hand goes straight out to the side, okay? Then there are capturing blocks, which is actually what's used in Small Tiger, where I block and then I capture. This is a Dean Shin innovation. I block and then I add a tiger eagle claw at the end. So as the hand is being parried, this hand rotates around and captures the hand. Then I have Small Tiger block and grab, where I Small Tiger block and then I yank him in. That's another one. So there are a couple of the variations, but that's what's kind of what coming to mind right now. Now I want to explain something about going back. When you go back, think about this. I'm reaching out to block. Oh, that's one thing I should say. My block can be out. My block can be close. Punch is coming in. I don't have enough time. I lean back and throw that thing to the side. If I can anticipate, maybe my speed is a little faster than his, I can stop him. When his hand is on its way out, instead of me waiting till it's fully extended to block it, I can get him right when he's about this far and then deflect from there. So Small Tiger blocks can do to the side or they can go forward. That's part of jamming the opponent. It's probably getting too deep right now, but you know, Sharif, this is gonna be for you, that you could, you know, introduce this at like points throughout their training. But the Small Tiger block can go forward. So I parry it and push it into him, right? So anyway, think about this. Guy's throwing a punch. He's not throwing a punch here, right? Which is how most people practice Jiao Gao, by the way. He's not throwing his punch here. He's throwing his punch here. So what that means is This block is very important if a guy's really trying to hit me. Problem is, most people don't practice against somebody who's really trying to hit them, so they don't know how to block. So what ends up happening is, guy throws a punch reaches here, guy throws a block reaches here, but guess where he's standing? Way back here. If you back up, it makes it even worse. So now the punch is coming at me. If he's aiming here, then yes, you back up and block. But you wouldn't back up and do a long small tiger block. You would back up, do a short small tiger block. You do a long small tiger block if you're going to respond with your feet or you're going to sweep, right? So for example, this, right? That is a small tiger block. I'm going to respond with a, well actually you don't see it, but I just responded with my foot while I threw the block. But I'm following up with a long punch. Oh, I should say that too. So you respond with a long small tiger block if I'm going to respond with a kick, with a long punch, or with a sweep. Well, yeah, I did say that. A long punch, a kick, or feet. Anyway, or if I'm just trying to escape, you know what I'm saying? So, but I wouldn't back up and throw a long small tiger block, especially if I'm expecting to punch him. If his fist is there, that means his face is about 2 feet behind that. That's not going to catch it. You see that? So if you want to evade, here's a rule of thumb. And when you advance forward, you advance in big steps because you're trying to catch your opponent. When you advance back, you advance in small steps because we're only just trying to make the opponent miss, but not by so much that I can't retaliate, right? So I only want him to miss me by that much when I'm evading because I want to be able to hit him back. When I'm going forward, I want to go forward with big steps because most people don't practice retreating, and I'll be able to catch him if I'm training in big steps. So we can explain that a little bit more about that. Today's Jusao. So going back, if I'm going to shuffle back, I would shuffle back with a short Jusao and then a long punch. Boom, because I need to make up for the fact that I've just moved back and the fact that his arm fully extended is right here. This is not going to get it. Even if I lean in a little bit, it's still not going to get it, right? So I want him to just miss by a little bit, boom, and then take him out with that. Now, there's the wisdom in the half step. Because when he's throwing a punch, I don't step back like that. When he's throwing the punch, I step out to the side, which brings his fist right here and puts him right within reach, boom, of a knockout. And remember what I said in another video that I did? Knockouts don't occur here. You don't knock nobody out punching them this way. You knock them out going this way. Turning of the head, the crack of the jaw, hitting on the neck, that's what knocks people out. Punch him in the eye, he gets a swollen eye, you get to brag for the next 2 weeks. I did that. You know what I'm saying? Won't knock him out. If you want to knock a guy unconscious, you either snap his neck or you make his brain hit the inside of his skull. How do you do that? Boom, a real good shot on the side of the head or something that turns the head. Usually it's the jaw. That's how you knock somebody out. Trust me, I've knocked out plenty of guys. So the half step, guy throws a punch coming down the middle. I take the half step. My punch now comes from the side, right? It doesn't come down the middle because right here we have a 50-50 chance of hitting each other. Remember, guy throws a punch, he's not just gonna be like that, oh, he blocked it. No, he's probably gonna come at you, you know what I'm saying, with a little more fire. So when you step, the step takes you off that center line, allows you to block, making contact with his hand, because as long as I can touch him, I know where everything is. I can feel his energy. I even know what's gonna come next. You won't get this right away, but touching hands enough times, you'll be able to sense through our hands connecting what he's gonna do next. And then this punch comes at an angle, cracks him across the jaw, saves me the trouble of having to back up. Got it? Okay. So now there is another purpose for backing up, which is to make the opponent miss, to just evade. If you back up, it's not necessary to block if you're going to retreat, but you still want to retreat just enough to make a miss, and then you fire right back. But that's a little bit different than the shuffle back and punch. I consider shuffling straight back and punching to be like an intermediate to advanced skill. Shuffling back should actually be slightly to the angle, slightly off to the side, because shuffling back straight is a bad habit if you are a beginner. Oh, 15 minutes. Okay, so anyway, just let me wrap it up real quick. When you go back, you want to go back in small steps. When you punch, you want to punch long. What that means is I'm going back, I'm in horse stance. When I punch, I want to shift forward. So what that means is I might block here, but when I return, without moving my feet, when I return fire, I return fire here. So I need to cover just this much with my stance to be able to counter my opponent. Block, make him miss, make him feel like he's safe, and then counter, even if you're going to do it straight, okay? And remember, the small tiger block should cover the whole body. Even if you don't cover the whole body, at least across here. Got it? And maintaining contact. Yes, punches do come back, but they don't always come back. Sometimes when we make contact, your hand can go back with them. But if you're quick to grab and quick to hook, right? To hook with the hands like this, you can prevent them from pulling their hand back. And then, like I said, you sense where they are. You know where the opponent is coming from, or you can sense what he's getting ready to do next. And it's a range finder, because even if I'm not looking, I turn my head and I touch his arm. Just from touching his arm, I already know where his body is. Okay. Yeah, and that pretty much covers everything. All right, I'll talk to you later.